If you think the world is going to hell in the proverbial handbasket, if you think all is lost and there's just no hope, so let's just hold on, hope to survive until the kingdom comes. If that's your mindset, hold on just a minute. Maybe we have something to say today. Hi, it's Barry Phillips, a 2-minute Torah, day 3 of Tisa. And we are in, again, now the book of Shemot or Exodus, and we are in chapter number 31. Now it says in verse 1, And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, See, I've called by name Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah, and I filled him with the spirit of Elohim in wisdom and in understanding and knowledge and in all work, to make designs for work in gold, in silver, and in bronze, and in cutting stones for setting, and in carving wood, and to work in all work. And look, I have appointed with him Holiah, son of Achsamach, of the tribe of Dan, and I have put wisdom in the hearts of everyone who is wise-hearted, and they shall make all that I have commanded you, the tent of appointment, the ark of the witness, the lid of atonement is on it, and all the utensils of the tent. And then he lists on and on that which is to be made. So in Moshe's day, there are these two, let's call them two kids by age comparison. Most likely these guys would have been in their teens, late teens perhaps. Young men. And Bezalel, his name meaning in the shadow of El. Holiah is the tent of father, or father's tent, if you will. They have the inspiration, the anointing, the gifting of the Ruach HaKodesh in all knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to know how to work with Moshe and to bring about the existence and construction of all the things Yah has entrusted to Moshe's hands. Moshe did not himself build everything. He oversaw the labor. He knew from a vision that Yah had given him, evidently, where Yah says, I've shown you the pattern above, now make it here on the earth. Evidently, Moshe had seen in a heavenly vision the actual tabernacle by some description, and was to replicate that in a scaled version here on the earth. So when he saw a particular element of the tabernacle, he could say, no, make it more like this or less like that, or that's it. That's what the design is. These two young men, they knew what to do. The rabbis say that Bezalel, it was almost as if he had been listening in on conversations that he already knew how to do everything, that Moshe did not have to tell him, okay, this is what I want. He already knew. It's an amazing thing that we're not reading about how many times they brought elements or some article is the word I'm looking for, of the tabernacle's construction to Moshe. He said, no, that's not it. That's not right. We're not reading that. What we're reading is what is needed to be done, and later we're going to go through the whole process of listing everything again, but it's going to read as such that it was done. They made it, it was correctly done, and it was all designed in such a way that it rightly fit. The fact that Bezalel and Holiah and then the other people that had wisdom of Yah put in their hearts to do this work gives us hope in our present. It's very common nowadays to read headlines of news reports and social media reports and YouTube videos where the younger generations appear to be lost. They are confused about their identity. They struggle with understanding their genders. They don't know it sometimes to know whether they're a human or an animal or a cross of the two. They look quite different than we would think they ought to look at times. Their life choices leave us frustrated, and now we're confused. And they seem to be incapable in many respects, among some, of handling high-stress situations. Now, before we point the finger, I want to use a quote from Mike Clayton, a good friend of mine, who said, before we call someone in this generation a snowflake, we need to realize what cloud that snowflake came from. Before we point fingers at younger generations and offer criticism and lambaste them, let's remember they were raised by somebody. And you may be a generation or two, maybe even three removed, but somewhere along the generational structuring and teaching and guiding and disciplining these generations, we lost something. And we allowed society to develop in certain ways. And our silence and our apathy and our spoiling and our lacking of discipline and boundaries among many generations now, we have ended up with young folks who are disillusioned and discouraged, and they have a lot of negativisms to deal with. So let's just back off a little bit there. And instead of pointing fingers and chewing at them, it's time to pray and intercede for them, because the book of Joel shares this with us in chapter 2. Verse 21 says, do not fear, O soil, be glad and rejoice, for Yahweh has done greatly. Do not fear, you beasts of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness shall spring forth, and the tree shall bear its fruit, and the fig tree and the vine shall yield their strength. And you, children of Sion, be glad and rejoice in Yahweh your Elohim, for he shall give you the teacher of righteousness, Yeshua, and cause the rain to come down for you, the former and the latter rain as before. Threshing floors shall be filled with grain, the vat shall overflow with new wine and oil. And then he says this in verse 25, then I shall repay you the years that the swarming locusts have eaten, the crawling locusts, the consuming locusts, and the gnawing locusts, my great army, which I sent among you. It could be that the devastation socially, relationally, that we have among ourselves is Yah's design because of our choices. Recompense for our own choices. He said, you shall eat and be satisfied. Praise the name of Yahweh your Elohim has done with you so wondrously, and my people shall never be put to shame. You will know that I am in the midst of Israel, that I am your Elohim, that there is none else, and my people shall never be put to shame. Then he says, verse 28, and after this, it shall be that I pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. These snowflakes, as you want to call them, or other derogatory terms, Yah says, I'm destined them for prophecy. I'm going to raise them up. You keep shoving them down, I'm going to raise them up. So the ones that you think cannot get through life without Play-Doh and a coloring book are going to turn around, perhaps, and become the very vocals of the Most High to lost generations. It says that the old men will dream dreams, but that the young men will have visions, kizayon. And it means an ecstatic vision state, to have a revelation, to prophetically see and discern things. What it says here is that they will prophesy, and then it continues, and if I can get the page to turn here, he says, and on my male servants and female servants I shall pour out my spirit in those days. Yah is going to offer to us an outpouring, even beyond Acts 2. Well, if he says it, it's just going to happen, so let's just sit back and watch it happen. No, it happens when you and I pray for it. Father, be true to your word, bring your word to pass, bring it to pass in our day, and we intercede for those who are to be the recipients of this outpouring, to come to the place where they're ready to receive And then even more importantly, that we have an ear to listen to the voice of God, that he will speak through them. Got a lot to pray about today. And I'll see you again tomorrow. To then, shalom.